What's good, Wizards fans? It's your host, the real Ed Oliver and Brandon Scott. Today, we're going to be talking about the solid three and what can make them a big three, a question that a subscriber asked. And we're also going to preview tomorrow night's game against the Minnesota Timberwolves. Let's get to it.
You are Locked On Wizards, your daily Washington Wizards podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
So I want to thank you guys for making Locked On Wizards your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get podcasts. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook, official sportsbook of Locked On. Make every moment more. Visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn today to get started. All right, so I don't know about you, but man, these 10 o'clock games, they've been kicking my behind. But finally we got a game at 8 o'clock. So we'll talk about that later. But we got a question from 202 Heartbreak on Twitter. He says, when would y'all consider calling them big? Because we always call them the solid three. But what are your thoughts on the solid three so far this season? What would it take? What milestones in the season, and what do you want to see from them for us to finally call them a big three?
I think this solid three has played well this year, man. Obviously the biggest obstacles are injuries, inconsistency. But I think when they are on the top of the game, that's a good core, man. I like what I see. Bradley Beal has settled into a role of scoring, being that scorer, not having to be that floor general like he was last year, getting back to being scoring Bradley Beal. With the offense going through Kuz and KP at times, it's been more fluid. The three of those guys, they've been outstanding. But to slide into big three, man, I think that there's two things, man. One, big three has always been synonymous with championship runs. If you look at in my lifetime, as far as, because I was born 85, man, so I don't remember the Celtics and y'all, but because big three's always been around, but not as kind of put in the public like it is now. But Miami, when they had Chris Bosh, LeBron James, and Dwayne Wade, that big three had aspirations for championships. So I think down in the NBA, people are too quick to label a big three on their teams, because to me, it should be synonymous with championships. We called Caron Butler, Antoine Jameson, and Gilbert Arenas a big three. And I get that, they were all stars, but if you look at playoff success, they never made it past the second round. So, that's to me that, I want to see a lot more playoff success before I want to call somebody a big three. So before we call this current core a big three, I said it before in the last episode, man. I said it before. I want to succeed. I don't want to play in. I don't want if you want to be a big three, if you want to be paid like a big three, because look, they're trying to pay these guys. They try to get in the bag. So if you're going to dedicate over $100 million to three guys, they need to be able to perform in the playoffs. And to me, the measuring stick this season for me to call them a big three would be the 6th seed. If you go out and get the 6th seed and you really try to at least, we're looking at it, potential matchup could be Philadelphia 76ers. Man, don't let it be the sweep. Go in there, get a 6th seed, and really challenge people in the playoffs. Really set the milestone for a winning organization. So yeah, to me, that would be the blueprint for calling these guys a big three, not a solid three. And I want to see how far you can go.
100%. They have to play like they did last night. Kyle Kuzma putting up 33, Porzingis putting up 28 and 12, Bradley Beal getting 19. And they can take turns. There's some games where Brad will go for 30. There's games where Kuzma will go for 30, or he'll have just 15 and maybe get 8 assists or get 8 boards, but they all have to contribute to a win. Obviously, they have to stay healthy. Basically, like you said, you can't have a big three and not make the playoffs or not make the play-in and be the 11th seed or 12th seed. You just can't do that. You have to at least clearly be in the playoffs. Like you brought up big threes. Talk about Miami's big three with LeBron, Bosh, D-Wade. You look at the Celtics with KG, Paul Pierce, Ray Allen. That's a legitimate big three. They won a championship. They went back to the championship as well. They lost to the Lakers, but they went to 2 championships. So those are big threes in my opinion. I get it. You can have a legitimate three. That's why I call them solid three. And none of them are making an all-star game this year, which I do think Porzingis possibly could have got a vote as a reserve, maybe Kuzma as a reserve. Bradley Beal couldn't just because he missed, a good amount of games this year.
Yeah,
but they have to put it together consistently. We haven't seen it consistently with these guys. I wasn't able really to pull up their record altogether, but I did see a couple of records with guys who play, like Kuzma right now. He's 19-20. The Wizards are 19-25 when Kuzma and Porzingis play together. Bradley Beal has a record of 15-15 when he plays with Porzingis this year. Bradley Beal and Kuzma together, they're 17-14 together this year. I want to say the last 14 games with Brad this year were 11-3 as well. So Bradley Beal really has contributed to wins this year. And he's playing some of his best ball this year. You look at his numbers; he's shooting 39% from three in February. Porzingis is playing good ball. He leads the league in free throws made since December 28th. So those are some of the numbers that I found just looking around. But in the month of February, Porzingis he's averaging 29 points a game, 8.3 boards, 3 assists per game. The pick and roll with Brad and Porzingis is working really well. Porzingis is cutting to the basket. You saw the way he was getting to the basket last night, just rolling to the basket and dunking on Eubanks. Bradley Beal looks athletic and spry. So I think we're finally getting a Bradley Beal that is fully healthy. This is the most healthy that I've seen him look really since the first game of the year. He looks really, really settled in, and we're getting Bradley Beal. I know people look at the contract, but right now he's playing really good ball. Contract aside, I know it's hard not to think about it, but he's really contributing to wins right now. He's finding ways to contribute and move the ball, get guys open, and they're elevating their teammates too. You see Gaffer getting open baskets. Nunn is playing well off the bench. Monte Morris, he's getting some open shots here and there. So I think they're also elevating their teammates too. I think when they're making teammates better and just elevating the team, and they're dominating games. That was the game last night was an example of what they should be doing when they're fully healthy.
Yeah, last night, man, Kyle Kuzma with that shot. I mean, he was hidden.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they checked one box already, which is they can play together. They can feed off each other. They play well together, and that's one of the biggest obstacles for putting a big three or a solid three or three dominant guys on the team. Because usually, if you get a team full of guys who are ball dominant, it never works, man. I don't know if you remember the Lakers when they brought in Karl Malone, Gary Payton, that 1 year. And then the biggest thing was everybody knew it was going to fail because we knew that you can't put that many ball dominant guys on the team. But we don't have that, man. Like you said, Bradley Beal, I get it, the contract, I get it. But look, that ship has sailed, man. It is what it is at this point. And he has played well this year. His scoring average is where it should be, because when you have two guys who can score the way that Kuzma and Porzingis can, you're not going to score 30 plus. So he's right where he should be as far as individual-wise, Bradley Beal. So now this solid three has played well. But I think the biggest thing to me is next year. How does Tommy respond? How does Tommy build around his team? Because the point guard is a need. Now, I will say this. Monte Morris has played well. Now, is he that starting guy that going forward that's going to be your franchise point guard? Nah. But he settled into the role that he was given. It took time to try to get his shot going. And, he's defensively, he has the shortcomings, size, going against bigger guards. But I like what I see from Monte at point guard. But there's going to be a decision next year with the point guards too. Do you keep Monte? Do you keep DeLon? You got Jordan Goodwin. Now you got Kendrick Nunn. I mean, so I think Tommy Shepard, I think the spotlight's on him in all season. How do you support this solid three? Point guard, 3-and-D wing, and another factor is how many bounds does Denny take? Because, we've seen two different Denny's since Rui got traded. We saw Denny who was very confident driving the lane with power, shooting with confidence, just talking stuff. And then you saw Denny where when he struggles, he's quiet. He's a non-factor. So I want to see more consistency from Denny as far as even when you're struggling, contribute in other ways. And he does for the most part. He's very solid on the rebound end. So yeah, long story cut short, man, for this to be a big three, not a solid three. Yeah, we got to see some success in the playoffs. We have to, man. Because the last big three are considered the big three in DC was obviously Gilbert Arenas and Caron Butler and Antoine Jameson. And like I said, they never made it past the second round. I think a lot of that had to do with, being all-stars, not so much with playoff success. But yeah, really set a mark, man. Try to get that 6 seed, because I think the 6 seed is attainable. I don't like we were talking about the NIT. I don't like the play-in, man. It's just I don't like it, man. It's just I want to see my team make the playoffs outright. I think so. Yeah, to me, make the 6 seed. You'll be a big three, easy.
Yeah, getting to the 6 seed is definitely going to be tough. Miami 32 and 26. Brooklyn's 33 and 24. They're still actually playing pretty well, even though they traded KD. They're still playing competitive basketball. With Cam Thomas going off, and Mikal Bridges is with the Nets now. But yeah, when they do make the playoffs, they can't be gentlemen swept either, like they did a couple years ago when they, like you said too, when they played us. If they do get to the 6th seed and play the Sixers, or Milwaukee, they have to put up a fight. Even though Milwaukee right now they are further ahead than the Wizards for sure.
Yeah.
Same thing with the Celtics. They can't just go in there and be swept and expect people to call them a big 3. So I think they're a solid 3 for sure. And if they keep playing the way they've been playing, then yeah, I don't see they're going to invest $100 million in the solid 3. But if Kuzma plays like that, like he did last night, consistently, then I mean, that's a big case why Tommy Shepard and Ted Leonsis want to bring him back. And it probably is going to be $25 million per year. So, and Denny, he's been up and down. He had one great week. We want to see him do it against playoff teams and against better competition. I don't want to take anything away from him. It was the Rockets that he did it against. I want to say it was the Rockets, the Spurs, 2 lottery teams that he had big games against. So I still was very happy with his performance, but I do want to see him do it consistently against playoff caliber teams. But we're going to get into the preview here and some other numbers about the solid 3. But before we do get to that, this episode is brought to you by FanDuel. It's the midway point of the NBA season is here, and now is the perfect time to download FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because new customers get a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. That's bonus bets back if your first bet doesn't win. Just download the FanDuel Sportsbook app. It's safe, secure, and super easy to use. Then you can bet on everything from the money line to points scored and threes drained. Tonight, I haven't really looked at the board really or the slate of NBA games like that, but I'm gonna look at it right now. The Spurs play at the Hornets. I'll probably take the Hornets money line. Hornets are favored by 7. Cavs, Sixers. I'm gonna leave that one alone. Pistons, Celtics. I think that's gonna be a blowout. So I'll probably take the spread 11.5. I think the Celtics are gonna cover that.
Yeah.
Jason Tatum should be back tonight, and Derek White's supposed to be available to play tonight too. Grizzlies versus Jazz. Lauri Markkanen's questionable. But the Grizzlies, they've been a weird team, and no Steven Adams. So I would take the Jazz plus 10 on that one. I think it's gonna be a little bit closer than what people think. Colin Sexton's been playing good ball lately as well. So that's the 3 parlay I would take, and I'd probably take the Thunder money line over the Rockets. So those are the 4 games I would look at. Plus, FanDuel even lets you combine your bets for a chance at a bigger payout with the same game parlay. So don't miss the chance to get your no-sweat first bet up to $1,000 in bonus bets when you go to FanDuel.com/lockedon. That's FanDuel.com/lockedon to learn more. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. So just a couple good numbers before we do get into the preview right now in the month of February. It's been 14 days in February. Today's the 15th. Bradley Beal's averaging 27 points in the month of February, 5 assists and 3 boards, shooting 56% from the field, 39% from the 3-point line, and 87% from the free throw line. Porzingis is averaging 29 points per game in February, 8 boards and 3 assists. Actually, Bradley Beal's averaging 5 assists. He's shooting 60% from the field. Porzingis is shooting 60% from the field, 50% from 3, and 94% from the free throw line. So Porzingis really is scorching hot right now. Also giving some love to Kendrick Nunn in his first 10 games as a Wizard. He's averaged 9.4 points per game, 2.8 assists per game, 2.2 rebounds per game, and 39% from the 3, and he's a plus 29 on the court. So he has helped. He's a guy that I wasn't big on from the trade for Rui, but he's come in and he's really, really made a positive impact. And then looking at the Wizards as a whole, right now they're a top 8 team. They're first in the last 2 weeks in offensive rating. They're number 1. The Trailblazers are number 2. The Thunder are number 3. The Cavs are number 4. The Celtics are number 5. The Mavs are number 6. So the last 2 weeks in offensive rating, the Wizards are ranked 8th. They did go on that 5-game winning streak during the last 2 weeks, and they did just win this game, putting up a lot of points. So they have been putting up a lot of points. The first quarters have been huge. Porzingis in the first quarter, he's been huge. They've really gotten off to hot starts. They just, lost a couple games, but they had 20-point leads. And right now, also Porzingis, he's in the 95th percentile in EPM, 62% true shooting, 23 points per game this year, 8 boards, and 1.5 blocks per game as well. Him and Gafford I want to say they're like top 10 in blocks per game this year. So they really had a solid year so far protecting the paint. And like I said before, right now, Porzingis is shooting 95.8% from the free throw line since December 28th, which is the best in the NBA. So those are some good numbers. But let's move on to the Minnesota Timberwolves. The Timberwolves, they are in the playoff hunt. They are 31-29. They actually made a couple of trades as well. They traded away D'Angelo Russell to the Los Angeles Lakers. Just pulling up some numbers for them and looking at the last game. Of course, they got Anthony Edwards, Rudy Gobert. Gobert's been in and out of the lineup. They just beat the Mavericks 124-121, beating Kyrie Irving and Luka Doncic. Jaden McDaniels, he's been playing good ball. Gobert had 21. Mike Conley, they got him in the trade for D'Angelo Russell. He had 12 points and 9 assists. Anthony Edwards had 32 points. Kyle Anderson had 12. Naz Reid had 10. Austin Rivers is on the Timberwolves as well. Which players stand out to you on the Timberwolves? And what's your key to victory?
Two players, man. Obviously, Anthony Edwards, man. He's box office, man. He's going to get his. He's definitely going to get his, man. He can score at a high volume. He's just a good young talent. I mean, Gobert's the second one. He tends to stay in the paint. So, first key to victory. Let's really be on a game perimeter-wise. Let's bring him out of that paint, because he tends to sit in that paint and defend. And now we've been shooting well from three-point, man. So let's open up the offense, shoot from three, bring him out of there, and then start attacking the basket, man. And maybe get him in the foul trouble, man. But that's what I would do. Two, like I said, Anthony Edwards is going to get his, man. So challenge his supporting cast. Mike Conley's not a guy who's going to pick up the offensive flow, not in this stage in his career. Jay McDaniels he's a solid young guy. And then Kyle Anderson at the 4. He's, not the most flashy guy, but you don't have, outside of Anthony Edwards, man, you don't have a type scorer that's really going to pick up the slack. If you know what I'm saying? So I would definitely challenge the rest of the team to step up and help out Anthony Edwards. Because like I said, if you focus and try to double team Anthony Edwards, it's going to lead open shooters, and then we always get ourselves in trouble, man. So, and then the third one, man, I would definitely say defense. Keep the defensive pressure, man. Keep this mind frame we have defensively. Man, when we play good defensively as a team, it's a beautiful thing to watch, man. Defensively, we have been better. It's just consistency. I think that's the biggest the key word for this season is consistency. I feel like we've said that more than any other word, man. Just consistency. So I want to see in your face attitudes tomorrow, man. Look, because Anthony Edwards can talk with him and Rudy Gobert can talk with him. Let's get some attitude and let's knock him out. Let's go into the All-Star game or the All-Star week with a dub, man.
Right. Yeah, Gobert, the last time we played, Porzingis put up 41 points against Gobert. It was definitely a mismatch for sure. You got to I would like to see if he's guarding Porzingis, I think that's a mismatch. I just think it's tough for Porzingis. I mean, for Gobert, who, he's a slow-footed big, struggles to get out there to the three-point line. That's why Porzingis was really cooking him the last game. But we'll see if he guards Gafford or not. But other than Gobert, they don't really have many bigs. They got Naz Reid off the bench again. So I think, they're a team that we can definitely get some buckets inside against them. Right now, they are 11th in defensive rating. So they've been a solid defensive team so far. Opponent three-point percentage, they're ranked 23rd in that. So like you said, knocking down some threes. We have been better from the three-point line. Right now, we're 16th in three-point percentage. That's a huge improvement for the Wizards for sure. And right now, the Timberwolves, they're second in two-point percentage. That's probably because of Gobert. And they allow a lot of free throws attempted. They're 30th in opponent free throws. Get to the free throw line, get down, get to the basket. Bradley Beal, Kyle Kuzma. Like last night, guys are getting to the basket, get downhill. And they're 28th in turnovers. They turn the ball over a lot. I don't know if Mike Conley will calm that down. I don't know if D'Angelo Russell was the guy turning the ball over a lot. They're 4th in pace as well, so get steals and deflections. So DeLon Wright, I want to see him be a pest, get some steals and deflections. They turn the ball over a lot. Let's see if we can convert those into fast break points and fast break buckets. So it's going to be an up and down game. They just gave up 121 points to the Mavs, so I think it's going to be another high scoring game. We just had a pretty high scoring game with the with the Trailblazers, and the Warriors game was pretty high scoring as well. So we're going to have to get up and run up and down and push the pace. And they're 18th in points in the paint allowed, so they do give up a good amount of points in the paint for sure. So keys to victory: rebounding, cut down on the turnovers. Let's force some turnovers. Let's run ball movement as well. Spread the ball. The solid three has to show up. And I do want to see some of the bench guys contribute. I do want to see if Denny can have a bounce back game. And I do want to see if Corey Kispert can have a bounce back game. I don't want to see him guarding Anthony Edwards. So Wes Unseld Jr. should try his best not to put Corey Kispert. Now, I know the Timberwolves, they probably will look at the film, of course, and scouting report and be like, hey, Corey Kispert, he's struggling to guard people, which is what everybody sees right now. So I would try my best to keep to keep Anthony Edwards keep Corey Kispert off of Anthony Edwards, to be honest with you. So yeah, that's what I got, man. If they play the way they played last night and have consistency, like you said, and be the solid three that they're supposed to be and turn into a big three, then I think they definitely have a good chance of winning this game. But it's going to be tough. It's in Minnesota. So what's your score prediction?
Man, I'm with you. It's going to be a high-scoring game. I think we're going to win this game, man, because, like I said, Anthony Edwards is the biggest threat to me. And Gobert, like you said, slow-footed. I think our perimeter game is going to force him to try to trot out there and guard somebody. Man, that's a good one. It's going to be a high-scoring game, man. I'm going to say 135-125, Wizards.
Okay. I hate to say I got us losing this one.
Come on, man.
Yeah, no, hopefully they have the reverse jinx, because every time we both pick them to win, they end up losing somehow.
Right.
So I got us losing this one. I think it's going to be pretty high scoring too, but I actually have it being in the 100 teens. I got us losing 117 to 112. I think it's going to be a really close game. I think Anthony Edwards, unfortunately, is going to have a pretty big game. He just had 32, so he'll probably have around the same amount, really like 34, 35. But I think Bill's going to have a good game, and I think Porzingis is going to have a solid game as well.
Yeah, I do. I think the solid three is going to shine, man. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. But, man, I'm a backtrack, because is it? Because, like I said, if you look at Minnesota, man, they don't really, other than Anthony Edwards, scoring-wise, nobody really jumps out at me. Now, I know Naz Reid as a backup center, man. He's kind of undersized, but he can score a little bit. But nobody really jumps out at me as somebody who can really pick up the scoring punch on us, man. So I think that it might be more defensive than we think it is. But no, I think this is a good chance for us to go into the All-Star weekend, man, or the All-Star week with some momentum, man, because I think it's a winnable game.
Yeah, it's probably because of the way they play. They put up 143 against the Jazz on February 8th. They put up 128 against the Nuggets on February 5th. So they are fourth in pace. So they're looking around. They put up 119 on the Warriors on February 1st. So yeah, they don't have like a lot of guys that can, score like Anthony Edwards on their roster, but it's the style of play that they play with right now. And a good thing for the Wizards, we're 16th at 3-point percentage, so we really have moved up. So, but I hope you're right. I hope we get this dub. I hope we come on tomorrow night. We can celebrate before the All-Star break. But we're going to wrap it up here. Just want to thank you guys for making Locked On Wizards your first listen every day. Now make sure you make your second listen, the Game to Game podcast with the Locked On NBA network. Every moment, every top performance, every result, Locked On Game to Game covers every game from across the NBA with local analysis that only Locked On can deliver. Follow Game to Game on Locked On NBA. Available on the Odyssey app, YouTube, wherever you get your podcast. So thank you guys for listening. Hell to the Wizards.